The kingdom of Ayamelum was a land of splendor, lush green valleys, golden rivers, and ancestral powers. But beyond its regal walls, secrets whispered louder than trumpets. King Zimuzo ruled with charm and charisma, but beneath his crown sat a head weighed down by guilt and dread. At the heart of the palace lived Princess Adanma, the king's only daughter, a beauty carved from ivory and grace. Raised behind velvet walls, she knew little of the world beyond the palace gates, but her heart, bold and restless, yearned for something no royal blood could command: true love. During the annual festival of the gods, a young sculptor named Dike arrived at the palace to present a statue he had carved from sacred ebony. His hands were rough, his eyes fierce, but his soul, it trembled when it met Adanma's gaze. There was a moment soaked in destiny, but their love was not welcomed. Dike was a commoner, and Adanma was promised to King Obidike of the powerful Uzoma kingdom, an alliance forged to end decades of war. The marriage was to be announced at the next moonrise. The princess' heart shattered quietly in her chest. Late at night, under the bamboo tree where ancestral kings once prayed, Dike and Adanma sat in secret. "I would give up my chisel for you," he whispered, "and I would give up my crown," she replied, but destiny, it seemed, had carved other plans in stone. Unknown to them, Queen Malika, Adanma's stepmother, has eyes everywhere. She had married Zimuzo not for love, but for power, and if Adanma ever bore an heir, it would destroy her plan to crown her only son, Prince Ekene. A scandal was the perfect weapon. On the day of their engagement, a scroll surfaced, Adanma's love letter to Dike, laced with poetry and passion. The council erupted. The king, shamed and betrayed, ordered Dike's arrest. "You defiled royalty." He spat, but it was Queen Malika who smiled silently behind her fan. Dike was dragged to the dungeon, his hands chained, his faith sealed. Adanma was locked in her chambers, his cries echoing through the marbled corridor like a grieving flute. But love, once born, rarely dies. Even in chains, Dike dreamed of her. In the shadows of the dungeon, Dike found an ally, Obinna, the king's former guard, imprisoned for a crime he didn't commit. "They buried me alive in secret," Obinna muttered, "but secrets they rot, and when they do, the truth rises." Together they plotted. Meanwhile, Prince Obidike arrived with his entourage, demanding his bride and threatening war. King Zimuzo, desperate to save his kingdom, ordered Adanma to wed within 7 nights or face exile. But Adanma had vanished, gone without a trace, and so began the unraveling of royal doom. Adanma had fled into forbidden forests of Oji, the land where no royal dared tread, guided by an old map once hidden in her mother's diary. She followed the river of mirrors, hoping it would lead her to Oracle, who once saved her mother from death. The moon watched over her like a nervous guardian. In the palace, chaos bloomed. Queen Malika seized the opportunity to desecrate the king. "You have lost your daughter and your throne," she whispered. She called the council of elders behind Zimuzo's back, demanding that Prince Ekene be named heir in Adanma's absence. The king's hand trembled, his crown left like thorns. Down in the dungeon, Obinna revealed the truth that stunned Dike. Queen Malika poisoned Queen Nkiruka, Adanma's mother. The king never knew. She killed her to make room for herself. Dike's heart pounded. "We have to tell the king, but first they had to escape, and time was running out." In the dark woods, Adanma stumbled upon a village lost in time, Iweulo. There, she met Manole, a blind seer who knew her name before she spoke. "You seek answers," the old woman said, But the truth will demand more than your tears. It will demand your fire. Back at the palace, the oracle arrived unannounced, clad in red. His staff glowed in ancestral power. He prophesied, "When the moon turns red, the throne will bleed. One child shall rise, one shall fall, and the crown will rest where love proves strong." His words shook the council, especially Queen Malika. Obinna and Dike staged a fire in the dungeon. As smoke filled the chamber, they fought their way out through the underground passage leading to the old stables. Bruises and bleeding, they rode out of the palace like ghosts. Their destination? The forbidden forest. Adanma's trail was their only hope. Adanma's time in Ibulo changed her. Manuli taught her the art of silence and strategy. Power, she said, is not a crown, but in knowing when to strike and when to wait. Adanma, once delicate and unsure, now carried herself like the queen she was born to be. In Ayamelum, Prince Obidike grew restless. He had not come only for marriage, he had come for conquest. He demanded Ayamelum's eastern land as a wedding gift. Queen Malika agreed, without the king's approval. That night, war drums whispered through the trees. Dike and Obinna reached Ibulo just as Adanma prepared to leave. Their reunion was thunder and rainfall, a moment soaked in relief and fire, but there was no time for romance. The oracle's prophecy was already unfolding. They had to return. They had to stop the blood. Together, Adanma, Dike, and Obinna began the journey back. Along the way, they discovered an abandoned soldier with a royal seal, one of Obidike's men slain by poison. A message was carved into its skin. The serpent ate its own tail. Someone else was playing a deeper game. As the trial nearly Ayamelum, news reached them. The king had fallen ill. Whispers blamed heartbreak and betrayal. But Obinna knew the signs too well. Slow poison, he murmured. Malika is fishing what she started years ago. Adanma's jaw clenched. He returned, would not be quiet. Meanwhile, Queen Malika moved swiftly. She crowned her son, Prince Ekene, in a private ceremony. "He is the savior of Ayamelum," he declared. The palace roared in confusion, but those who objected were silenced or disappeared. Ekene, unaware of the full depth of her skin, bathed in stolen glory. In the king's chamber, the oracle stood alone with Zimuzo. He placed a red kola nut in his arms. "If you were to die, die knowing the truth," he said. The vision came fast. Nkiru's death, Malika's lies, the falsified scrolls. The king wept. "I caused the daughter of my light." Adanma returned under moonlight, cloaked and disguised. She entered the palace through the servant tunnel with Dike and Obinna. Their plan was clear: confront Malika before the coronation reached the sacred seals. Once sealed, Ekene's reign could not be undone. Before dawn, Adanma entered her father's chamber, weak and tearful. He gasped at the sight of her. "Forgive me, my child," he whispered. She held his hand. "There is still time, Papa." Outside, the palace trembled with with war songs. Obidike's aunt was approaching. In the royal hill, Queen Malika raised the sword of kingship over Ekene's head. "May your reign be long and feared," she intoned, just as the seal was about to be placed. The palace door burst open. Adanma stood tall in royal armor. The sun blazed behind her. The court froze. Murmurs rippled through the crowd. "She lives, the true heir." Malika's face drained of color. "Arrest her," she screamed. But Dike and Obinna stepped forward with evidence. Adanma's letters, the oracle's witness, and Obinna's confession. The whole erupted into chaos. Prince Ekene dropped the crown. "Mother, is it true?" But Malika had no words. The oracle struck his staff. "The blood of the innocents cries, louder than your schemes." Malika reached for a dagger, but Adanma blocked her. "No more blood," she said. "You have lost." As soldiers took Malika away, the skies cracked with thunder. Outside, Obidike's forces had surrounded the palace, but Adanma stepped out to the balcony. "The wedding is off. There will be no war. Ayamelum stands sovereign." Her voice, firm yet graceful, reached every ear. Obidike, impressed, ordered his army to stand down. That night, King Zimuzo called for a gathering. "Let it be known," he proclaimed, "that Princess Adanma shall rule when I pass. She has shown wisdom and beyond her years, and courage beyond her blood." Dike stood in the shadows, unsure if there was a place for him in her new world. Adanma stood before the mirror in her chamber, dressed in warrior silk, her fingers trembling. So much had changed, but her heart remained bound to Dike. She found him in the royal garden at dawn. "The people want a prince," he said, avoiding her eyes, "but I am just a sculptor." She took his hand. "Then let them see what royalty truly is." As Queen Malika awaited trial, she asked to speak with Adanma alone. Against all advice, the princess agreed. In the dim prison chamber, Malika whispered, "Your mother, she's not just a queen. She was a priestess, a keeper of an ancient bloodline. That blood flows in you." Adanma blinked. "Why tell me this now?" Malika smiled bitterly. "Because when the gods come calling, you will understand the cost of truth." That night, Adama's dreams were filled with vision, flames in the palace, her mother's voice. The oracle vanished into smoke. She awaits gasped, only to find Obinna waiting. "There's something you must see," he said. He led her to the sealed scroll, where hidden behind a broken mask lay a scroll wrapped in royal wax. The scroll revealed her mother's last word: "Trust the sculptor." "He holds the key." Adama's heart raced. "What key?" Obinna turned to her. "Your mother was guarding a sacred relic, the eyes of Oji. It grants the ruler divine foresight, but it was hidden the day she died." Adama knew what she must do. At sunrise, she and Dike returned to Ibulo with the oracle. Manoli met them with tears. "The path is clear now," she said. Beneath the ancient fig tree, they unearthed a stone box. Inside, a glowing amulet shaped like an eye. "The eyes of Oji," the oracle breathed. Holding the relic, Adanma saw a vision of Ayamelum in flame, swords clashing, Ekene leading a rebellion, Dike bleeding. "We must return," she gasped. "The war isn't over." She had crowned herself in spirit now. She had to defend it in flesh. Back in the palace, Ekene had vanished, but his chamber was not covered in war plan and old letters from Obidike. He betrayed us all," the king muttered. "Obidike was never here for peace. He came to steal Ayamelum through Ekene's ambition." As twilight fell, drum beat through the valleys. Ekene's forces, masked in Izoma's armor, were marching towards the palace. Adama stood on the balcony, flanked by Dike and Obinna. "Tonight," she declared, "we defend our future, not with hate, but with truth and heart." The battle was fierce. Spears clashed, arrows rained. Dike fought with a blade carved from his own chisel, protecting Adama's flank. Obinna led the palace guard with fire in his chest. At the heart of the battle, Adama met Ekene. "You were my brother," she whispered. "You stole what was never yours." They fought, sword to sword, until Ekene fell, wounded but alive. "End me," he spat. Adama lowered her blade. "Let history write your shame." "I chose peace." The army surrounded. Ayamelum stood, bruised but unbroken. The skies cleared. The drums were silent. The doom had passed. Morning came with golden light spilling over the palace rooftop. The top of Ayamelum gathered in the square to witness what they never thought was possible. A woman, unwed and unbroken, ascending the throne. Adama, dressed in deep crimson, with the eyes of Oji around neck, walked forward not as princess, but as queen. Her father, King Zimuzo, stood beside her, fragile but smiling. "I once lost my daughter to pride," he said, voice trembling. "But today, I see her not just as my child, but as the light of this land." The crowd roared. Even the old guards wept. Queen Adama's first decree was bold. "No crown shall rest on the head of deceit, and no love shall be punished for its birth." She pardoned Dike publicly, lifting him from the shadows and giving him the little royal architect of Ayamelum. But more than that, she offered him her hand. "If you will have me, not as your queen, but your equal," she said. he knelt, not before a monarch, but before the love of his life. The royal wedding was unlike any before. It was held at the foot of ancient baobab tree. The people danced barefoot, drums echoed through the hills, and the oracle himself blessed the union. May your reign be long, he said, and may your love be longer. The royal wedding was unlike any other before it. It was held at the foot of the ancient baobab tree. The people danced barefoot, drums echoed through the hills, and the oracle himself blessed